Are deals more about luck or skill when you first get started? Many people have asked me that question because when many of our associates or students are getting started, they have zero experience in real estate. And I tell them it is more about the luck than it is the skill. And why I say that is because it is all about just giving yourself as many chances as possible, as many at-bats in a baseball slang as possible, so that way you can gain experience in this business. I was actually speaking with a friend of mine. He said it does not take time in order to do deals, it takes experience. And experience comes with as many at-bats as possible. When I'm referring to at-bats, I'm talking about outbound calls, so dials, appointments, offers, take-ins especially with contingencies, so that way you're limiting yourself in liability. I was having a coaching call with one of the associates, and as we were looking at his current taken to sold ratio, meaning the amount of properties that he put under agreement that he sold, it looked rather low. We were looking at it, and it looked like it was a 50% conversion rate. But as we dug further into his conversion rate, we realized that there was two different types of properties in which he was taking on. One was that he knew he was going to be able to convert these, meaning he took on properties that had great purchase prices. He took on properties that had expected good cash flow and had great principal pay down. But then he also took on properties or put properties under agreement that he wasn't sure if they were going to sell. One main reason was that the properties in which he took under agreement had a really high monthly payment. Now, if you ask my brother-in-law Nick, who has sold hundreds of these types of deals now via rent-to-own and owner financing, he would always say the main factor is the monthly payment, because you are converting a tenant into a buyer, so that they care about cash flow the most. So when we took on these properties, we realized that there was a chance in which we were not going to be able to cover that mortgage and to be able to create a deal that made sense for us to continue to purchase or move forward on past the contingencies. So as we separated those two, we realized that he was actually selling 100% of the properties that we knew fit inside our wheelhouse, but he just wasn't selling the ones that did not. Now you may be asking me, like, why would you take on those properties then? Well, I encouraged him to go ahead and take on those properties because it's more about the experience. It's more about the at-bats. That way he could learn all the dynamics and all the steps inside this business, learn the entire front end, and because he had that property taken and under agreement, he could then work the back end and start seeing those systems and processes, because over time, as he gave himself more at-bats, he was going to become a more and more creative real estate investor. Let me just give you an example. Let me tell you about a deal that we purchased in-house with our family company. Now, this deal was located in Connecticut, and the sellers, they were selling because they were relocating to Florida. And when I looked at the numbers of the financials on the property, it was in a very similar situation. The monthly payment was extremely high. Taxes are high in that area, and I believe that the sellers refied within 2 or 3 years of them trying to sell this property. So when we looked at the deal, we could have gone one of two ways. I could have said, hey, Miss Seller, these numbers are not going to work out, and although I love to help you, we're just going to have to pass on this deal. Or the second route, which is the route we chose, which was, hey, Mrs. Seller, what we're going to do is we're going to take this property to market. I'm unclear about what we're going to accomplish because that monthly payment is extremely high. What we did is we then took it to market. We actually constructed an assign-out deal around this deal, which means that we went ahead and took the property under agreement. Then we went and looked for a tenant buyer, and as soon as we had that tenant buyer, we assigned that buyer's package directly to the seller. Now this deal over time ended up equating to about $20,000 to $30,000 in payday ones, because the AOs you only get paid once. Because we gave ourselves a chance, we were able to create a deal. So I'm going to encourage you today, even though maybe the financials don't look perfect when you're looking at this deal from the beginning or the beginning stages, I encourage you to just take it under agreement, especially if there's plenty of contingencies involved. That way you can give yourself a chance. So here's a couple steps that I'd recommend. Number one, consistently take action. Take action on making dials, take action on setting appointments, take action on taking properties on agreement, and give yourself a chance to go ahead and sell those properties. Now, I went over one of our options, which is an AO, but there's 3 other types of options that we utilize: a lease purchase, owner financing, and buying properties subject to the existing loan. And you can see how we craft up those with some more example deals. If you just go to smartrealestatecoach.com/mastersclass, go ahead and just click the link below. And then constantly follow up. There's no point in taking initial action if you're not following up. And lastly, just create the best deal possible. Do every single thing that you can do to create the best deal possible, and then go ahead and take action again.